Recording video. Recording video. Hello, my name is David Joseph, and this is the second video on the Pope. A couple of hours, I mean literally an hour and a half ago, this wasn't on the cards because I've been working setting up some websites. As I said in my previous video, I would be expanding on some of the subjects that I touched on some of the areas I touched into in this video here. One of the things I said I was going to talk about was this, you know, an opportunity that has come up. So this video is possibly going to be a second introduction. But the reason for it is this video here that appeared on Sky. DiCaprio talks global warming with the Pope. And the Pope has been moving. He's been talking to Google. He's been talking to Apple. He's been over in America, you know. This guy's a mover, you know. Now, let's have a look at this video. I'm going to talk you through a few of the things I see. It ain't going to be as long as the last one, right? Because I want to touch on a few other subjects. But opportunity came. And a footnote to the last video, I talked about the Pope and his cross being on different sides. You know, how it was always on the right. Majority of the time it's on the right hand side, as we look at it, right? Yeah, it's on. So as he's there, it's on his right hand side. We'll go up to the left, right? Yeah. Well, maybe this video will give you a little more insight into that. Please bear with me because this is not rehearsed. I am working on some documentaries and essays. So, as we say, without further ado, we'll get on with it and see what happens, right? Leonardo Cappuccino. Now, this guy is an actor. And so is Leo. But this is the master actor, right? I just thought I'd put that in. Oh, sure, they're all actors. Oh, look at that light. The Pope is meeting Leo. Tucked in nicely, you say, you know. And these crosses, right, are not crosses. They're crucifix. Various things. So there's an exchange of words. I hope invites him to sit down, please. Now, before I go on any further, everything you see is rehearsed. They know exactly what's going to be said. They know what to do, what way to move. Nothing is going to go out, right, that's not supposed to go out. The Roman Catholic Church claims to be 2,000 years old. Well, to be honest with you, it's actually much older than that. But the actual church, the Roman Catholic Church, didn't come about till halfway through the 4th century. Constantine. So it becomes very apparent, right, that if you're a big time mover, right, you can get in to meet the Pope, like, you know, Google, you know, and Apple is about the apple, the temptation from the Garden of Eden. That's what the symbol is about, yeah. The company is full of, in fact, actually, I believe, right, okay, they had an advertisement. I seen it. It was Walter Voigt video where he put up an advertisement that he had, right, okay, Apple, right, okay, the Church of Anton LaVey, was it? Something along them lines, anyway, and it was taken down. But however, right, I could be wrong on that. As I said, bear with me, please, right, okay, it is important, right? Let's carry on. This is the part that really gets me.
Hieronymus Bosch's was hanging above my crib as a young boy.
My crib?
My father put it there.
Yeah.
And as a child...
I just want you to point out here as well, right? Everything is for a reason. If he wasn't allowed to have that on his wrist, he wouldn't be there. And as far as what it means is, well, we'll expand on that later, right? For the moment, let's just get on with this one.
I didn't quite understand what it all meant. But through my child's eyes, it represented our planet, the utopia that we've been given, the overpopulation, excess, and then the third panel,
the overpopulation, excess. And through my child's eyes, that doesn't mean when he was a child, because he's now standing with the papa, yeah, right? And here, right, we have a good close-up, right, of the cross. And on the cross, right, we have Jesus like this. So what is that cross about? Let's just carry on with this video for a second, because we're going to get back to that. So Leonardo is saying the planet is overpopulation, and he's presenting a book, right, okay, that depicts the Garden of Eden, Adam and Eve in it. The Pope has said, right, that evolution is the way to go, that God didn't create the world 6,000 years ago, that he hadn't got a magic wand. I'd like to ask him about that. Did he need a magic wand to write the commandments in stone with his finger? Did he need a magic wand to raise Lazarus from the dead? Let's just carry on.
See a blackened sky that represents so much to me of what's going on in the environmental movement today. Yet in the back, you have Hieronymus Bosch painting planet Earth when many thought that the Earth was still flat. So it represents to me the promise of the future and enlightenment.
For some people that don't know, there's a lot of people who are saying that the Earth is flat. It's pretty relevant to me because I wait in the Lord and he's going to return soon. I'll find out then. But there's actually one of the top rappers has come out now and he's saying like it's flat. And there's millions and millions of people that believe it's flat. And they have some very, very interesting arguments. So this is propaganda slipped in there, right? Yeah, to the billion Catholics that are going to be watching this, and the millions and millions of Hollywood fans. Now Hollywood, right? Okay, comes from the Hollywood. It's the magic wand. Talk about magic wands, right? Of the Druids. And Hollywood, which I'm going to establish, is ran by the Jesuits. Just like the media is controlled by the Jesuits. And just like the music industry is controlled by the Jesuits. So Leonardo DiCaprio Chino here, right, is meeting his boss man here, yeah? And this is a play out. It's propaganda, and it's there for a reason. It creates in the mind ideas that can come to fruition. But let's just get back to the Garden of Eden where God told man to go and multiply. Yeah? Go forth and multiply. Now we know, right, okay, that after the fall, things changed. And things changed so much that when the Lord comes, he says, my kingdom is not of this world. But this guy's talking about utopian, right? And one of the problems that's stopping the utopianism, right, is overpopulation. Now this is what Bill Gates is talking about, right? That's why he brags about how he has reduced the population. You see, he has the Pope's present. That's how he can go on the media and say these things. These philanthropists give billions off to charity, right, okay, for inoculations, right, okay, and vaccines, right, okay, that can, and birth control. Because they want to sustainable planet. And a sustainable, this is the big buzzword you're going to hear. And what they mean by sustainable is not that we can all live here and get on, right? Okay, there's loads of space and there's loads of abundance. But they want to sustain being able to spend billions and trillions exploring what's up there, right? In space, creating nuclear weapons, right? You know, doing mad experiments like over in CERN, where the Vatican has got its own little station. That's what they mean by sustainable. So long as Leonardo can still be a Hollywood actor, right? Yeah? He doesn't mind if there's no money, by the way. Because he gets to go on the airplanes, right? And burn all them fuels flying around the world, right? Like all the rock bands do, you see? Don't just talk about one individual here. Let's talk about the whole music industry and its carbon footprint. Oh, that's fine. They'll charge you for it by your downloads. So long as they can keep doing what they're doing, right? And what they're doing there is going to be looked at briefly in this video. So the sustainable planet is overpopulated. And what are they going to do about it? Let's continue.
And it's representational of your view here as well. I wanted to give you this book as a gift.
La sua santità questo è un dono di fondazione per una cosa che lei tiene tanto. Leonardo vuole fare una donazione per una
and here we go, the check, the money, you see. A message out to all them out there now. Follow Leonardo, start giving your money out for the church because it needs it. Believe me, it needs it, right? Because it's overstretched itself. So right at the end there, there's a great shot of Leo, but I want to go back here and pause on the cross.
Understand what it all meant. But as it, through my child's eyes, it represented our planet, the utopia that we've been given, the overpopulation, excess. And in the third panel, we see a blackened sky.
Excess. This is a man who stars in movies playing all types of characters, right? And he's talking about excess. Hollywood, who spends millions and millions and millions and millions just making one film. They have their Star Wars shit that they're filling people's heads with. And I mean that word, by the way, yeah? I mean it. As an Irishman, I'm telling you, I mean that, right? I went to see that movie in the cinema with a friend of mine. And it was just a pantomime. It was a joke. My God almighty. But however, let's talk about Osiris for a second, right? And the cross of Osiris. And Osiris like this on the cross. I want to take you over here, right, to a book I have. I know first we'll go and we'll have a Google search for Osiris, right? And the images that come up, right? The Google search I have is the Golden Dawn Osiris images. And here we have the Rose Cross. But let's get onto Osiris for a second, right? And images of Osiris. They're all there and they're all different images. But the one image that I'm looking for, right, is that cross. That pose, right? It's Osiris risen. That's what that pose is. So we get down and we get some of them now. There's a few interesting ones on the end here. We got Aleister Crowley, right? Yeah. See the way signs are important, right? You can go and Google this stuff and look, here we go. Osiris, there's Osiris risen. You recognise that guy? And here's another guy here. See him now. W.B. Yeats. Yeah? An Irish man. It's his anniversary this year, actually. There's a big exhibition in Dublin, right? Right beside the Dáil, you know. The influence of this man is going to be pointed out, and the influence of the occult and what they study in this country, right, is going to be pointed out as well. So let's go down more and find more. David Bowie's already in here with Black Star, you know. And if we go down to the end, I think it was, we have David Bowie, sign of Osiris, beside Aleister Crowley. Now, Aleister Crowley, by the way, I call myself Aleister Cow, right? Because he was a cow, an animal, a perverted. But he is idolised by the music industry. The Beatles had him on the cover of their Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. And seemingly it was 20 years ago today as a reference to Aleister Crowley passing away, right? And David Bowie, I'm closer to the Golden Dawn immersed in Crowley's uniform. But it's interesting to know with David Bowie, he poses a question there. He says, should I kiss the viper's fang or herald loud the death of man? See, man does surely die. We'll move on. More images. And did we get anything different here? Oh, well, there's lots happening in these images here, right? Yet again, McGregor matters there, and the occultist Aleister Crowley, there he is there again, you know what I mean, yeah? And it's all Cyrus. Now, who is this Cyrus guy and what's he about? Well, we will be expanding on that. As I said, essays will be wrote, and this is just a brief little introduction to show you what's going to be coming up and why it's going to be coming up. We don't want to touch on that just, well, we'll just go here to, I have a little thing here, it's a book, right? This book is called The Golden Dawn System of Magic. It's a 4-volume set that was published by Israel Regardie. It's about the Golden Dawn that was formed in 1888 by McGregor Matters and Westcott and Lindell. It wasn't treated. But it was predominantly Matters, right? The other two disappeared, right? Now these were Freemasons. And Freemasonry, right, was infiltrated. Scottish Rite Freemasonry is basically set up by the Jesuits. The Jesuits have been setting up secret fraternities 500 years since they're a militia army. They don't have materials, but they infiltrate the governments of the world and use their military forces to fight the war. And the war is about world dominance and having an emperor sitting on the throne, right? And the religion that they're selling is the religion of Osiris, right? Yeah, which is Luciferian occult worship. That's why God took the boys out of Egypt. You see, right? We'll carry on. I'll just show you this, right? Osiris risen. There you go. Now let's get up to the top. There you go. The Golden Dawn System of Magic, right? Okay, which is basically the study of the occult. Right. And let's get off that one for a second, right? And I'll be coming to this one now in a second. Next thing I wanted to talk about is, and this, I just want to touch back on this, is this here, right? I talked about Osiris and the two swords, right? What I was talking about is world population and creating a sustainable utopian world. This is the Super Bowl. This is Madonna at the Super Bowl. You see the same symbol. You see the same keys. Now this video is from the Super Bowl 50 halftime show. BEYONCE, RIHANNA, or whatever her name is, Banana. They're all banana heads. Must see. And this is Puritan Pictures. Thank you very much, guys, right? And on it, right, okay, what plays out is basically a ritual, right? Where Madonna comes out and she's dressed in all different guises. And a ritual takes place on the stage, unbeknownst to people. The masses are being fooled. It's the same thing with Harry Potter. If there was ever one book that should be taken off the shelves and burned, it's that book. And that book wasn't wrote by that girl. That's a big joke, a big facade in this big game that's been played. In fact, if you read The Occultist of Dion Fortune in one of her early books, she says about like initiation into the higher grades, and eventually you go to a door, and she says you realise we're all just actors on the stage. We'll be going deeper into that. But let's just play a little bit of this.
Babylonian and Egyptian. So you saw a throwback just based on her costume that she had on.
This is Madonna.
And it just caused me to begin researching
sitting on her throne
motifs on a deeper
with the horns, you
level,
see, you know.
Connect them to the spiritual realm, basically.
And the movements and how they move around the place.
A lack of
If you read the Golden Dawn, all the initiation ceremonies have a hall, right? And in the hall there's pillars and there's banners, right? Okay, and there's candles and there's altars, right? Yeah. And all the hierophants and all the people in the hall have their movement and how they move around, and particular dresses and colours, yeah. And it's like the planets moving around. It's called circumnavigation, right, around the temple, you know, right? Everything is for a reason. That's why in my last video, right, when the Pope is over, right, okay, meeting the rabbis, right, and they walk along and they're going like this, it's all moving. He's the white coming to meet the black there, you know what I mean? The sun, you know what I mean, yeah? See, it's all sun worship and planetary worship, right, okay? And I don't mean S-O-N of God. It is S-U-N, right, okay? And it is Lucifer, it's Lux, it's the light, right? And this is what they're worshipping in front of your eyes, right? In conjunction with the stars above, right? Yeah, now look, here it is white, the keys. It's on the ground there for you to see. It's there for you to see, right? In plain black and white there, actually, pretty much, you know? Yeah.
That we're not in a flesh and blood war, so we can't look at...
Look. It's not just a fancy circus show. It's everything is for a reason. Every movement, right? These demons, right, okay, are in front of your eyes, yeah? You don't need to look for them eyes turning around like that. You're joking me, right, okay? They can look gorgeous, right, okay, and be charming. That's the whole point.
This is flesh and blood, and they're in heavenly places, so... I got very interested.
And just flick a little bit forward through this, and I'll leave a connection for you to go and watch this guy's video, right? Yeah. As I said, like there you go. See the sunlight in Lucifer. This guy is analysing it for you, right? So I don't need to do it, right? Yeah. I've got other things that need to be done, right? Yeah.
We know that
the stars, the 5-pointed stars, okay, the pentagram, you know.
We know that
we were talking about the pentagram rituals, the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram, you know, and how it seduces people in, and why it seduces people in.
But never say a word about about.
I just flick forward more. Show you some screenshots here, you know. I hope you can pick them up, you know. I haven't set things up right at the moment. We're still getting them on. This is Beyonce, you know. I mean, she comes out, there's a shot here. Watch this. Look. There's Beyonce there, right? And look. Yeah. And when things are flashing in front of people's eyes so fast,
so
they have to
symbolize.
And they're all high on this ritual, they don't know it.
Interacting with. So that's why we saw in Beyonce's Super Bowl performance, we saw through their ritual, and she also chorused throughout the performance. But you have to slow it down,
everything.
Because unlike the Madonna Super Bowl, they sped things up. They sped up the symbols so fast. Like if you didn't see the fire image in the very beginning, you did see it. So I think
witches dancing on the stage in front of your eyes.
If people knew a witch was there,
there you go, witches.
We're being targeted to record them in our subconscious.
That medium of it.
Look at it.
Put that in the back of your mind.
Look at it. Anyway, listen, I'll leave that one there for you to go and have a look at, right? Yeah, and do so, and go and have a look at a few more of them, right? Okay, you'll discover, right, that there's some. Gotta say this, David Bowie died, and I'm going to talk a little bit on that for a reason, right? Yeah. But there's some sites out there, and they call themselves Christians, right? Yeah, and it's easy to be a Christian, right? Okay, from a room with a load of equipment and have a YouTube channel, yeah. Right, for those who slated David Bowie, how many of you stood outside his house, like John the Baptist stood outside Herod's place, right, shouting in, Herod, repent, right? How many of you wrote him a letter, right, appealing to him, okay, before he died, right? How many of you prayed for him, right? Prayed, right, okay, that, you know, he'd be all right with the Lord. And how many of you, oh, forget it, you know, right? But, listen, I have faith, right, okay, in the common sense of most people, right, okay, when they start to realise things, right? And so you can decide, but you can say, well, that's rubbish. I know that's rubbish, right? And then you can say, this guy is just reporting things as they are. And he can understand it for certain reasons because it's been revealed to him, right? Yeah, there are people out there that are talking like that. So let's get on with this for a second, right? Yeah, because we're almost drawing to the end. I don't want to make this one too lengthy, right? And I want to see what else I have here, right, to show you, right? Yeah. Yeah. Right. Here's what I'm going to show you, right? I want to tell you about Daniel. Daniel was led into Babylon. And Daniel, okay, was in the king's court. And Daniel was the top man, right? And Daniel studied the occult because he was led in there. He had to, you know. That's the truth of it, you know. There were certain things he wouldn't do, right? And he was allowed not to do them, right? Like he eat the meat, right, okay, that had been prepared ritualistically for the king, and the wine that was prepared ritualistically for the king. But Daniel, okay, is legend. And when the three wise men came across who had read the signs, right, they came across knowing that the Lord was going to be born. They came from Daniel 500 years earlier. Now, Egypt, right? Abraham went into Egypt. And Solomon, right, fell into synthesis. He had the ecumenical thing going on. He wanted to bring them all together. But Solomon turned around in the end. And these are types of what's happening in this day. Now, the Lord leads people into places sometimes. Abraham went in, he made a big mistake, you know, going in, right? He'd done the wrong thing, right? But he came out with more than he went in. Because the Lord doesn't judge by the church you're in, the clothes you wear, the words you say. He judges by your spirit, yeah? And Abraham, he knew Abraham's spirit. He knew who he was, you see, yeah? And the same thing with Solomon, yeah? And the same thing with Daniel. Throughout the Bible, we're told, do not touch these things. And for good reason. We're also told that when the Lord returns, he will teach us. And what are we going to sit around learning? You see, what the occult is, right, is a perversion by Lucifer. And it's all just mumbo jumbo. And it attracts people in with its bright colours. And it attracts the artist, like a David Bowie. And like a W.B. Yeats. And others. It lures them in to thinking that they can serve God by developing their consciousness and raising up to a higher level. Well, I have proof per se, right, that this is a load of rubbish. Some people end up in these things because they grow up in an environment where they don't have the Bible. They grow up as Catholics in the church, and they go into a church and they're sitting there and they hear the story of Jesus, right, okay, but they don't get the Bible and the Word of God. And they look at the altar and they hear the bell ringing, and there's an altar there and it has candles on it, right? And movement around the altar. They become altar boys like I did, and you learn how to walk around the altar, when to ring the bell, and like have all Sofian responses, like, you know. And everyone saliva take me for a bit of bread to come, you know. Yeah. So if you want to look for other occult rituals, and the word occult meaning hidden in here, you know, well, look no forward than the El Supremo one, which is, right, the Catholic Mass, you know. The Irish president of this country, ex-Irish president, on RTE national television with Gay Byrne, the program's called The Meaning of Life, exclaims, okay, that she gets a rush from the Mass, yeah? A rush. Well, that's what it is. It's actually, it does, you know. In fact, I've heard before I heard her saying it, I heard one of the top occultists, who's now passed away, Christopher Hyatt, right? There's an interview with him on YouTube where you can go and hear him talking about how at least the Catholic Church ritual is good. You can get a good feeling coming out of it, like, you know what I mean? Because it has a whole sequence of events, right, okay, that move in a certain way, you know. And this is what people do. It becomes a ritual, right? When Jesus broke bread, there was no ritual in walking around and bells ringing or anything like that, right? See, the truth of the matter is now, right? How do you know a real Christian? He's not in a church. He's not a member of a church, right? And how can he be? If he looks at the Catholic Church, there's so many contradictions in it. If he looks at the Seventh-day Adventists, like, you know, oh my God, like, you know, I mean, they've now got transgenders elders in it, right, yeah? So let's look at the Gospel of John. And when Jesus sits down at Jacob's well, the woman comes up to him, and he says, I tell you, woman, the time has come, right, okay, when God won't be worshipped in this church or any mountain being a church, right, or in Jerusalem. God is spirit, and the spirit is God loved and worshipped, and only there, right? And then he proclaims that time is now, 2,000 years ago, right? So you need the word of God, right, okay, yeah, sola scriptura, the grace of God, and faith, like, you know, and that's what you need, like, you know. I myself, right, was one of them people who strove to serve the Lord, right, and didn't know how, and for some reason I was led into certain things, you know, studies. I had a library at one stage, a huge library, and I had studied, and I had journals and notes, and they were all got rid of, you know. I was out the door at 17 years of age to join the Capuchin priests up the hill, from where I lived in a place called RIHANNA. Next door to it was a school called Mount Temple. I met a guy out there who took me along to a place in, called Puritan, and there was the born again Christians. And I experienced people rolling on the ground with their eyes rolling back in their heads. I'll be touching on that. The group was actually called, the Christian group was called Shalom. And here he is now. This is Chris Rowe of Shalom, his website currently, right? Shalom Christian Fellowship. And this is the fellowship, right, that 3 members of U2 were in. Bono, The Edge, and Harry Mullins. I see this is posted by Anthony616 on January 24th, 2016. And I'll be talking about this guy. He was the first born again in this country. His father was a missionary over in China. And there's a book there somewhere as well. And I believe this guy is nothing but a Jesuit, right? Yeah. Vowed to play his role, right? And I believe that U2, right, were set up by the Jesuits, right? Yeah. Whether they know it or not. That they were scouted out before they were born. Just like Herod scouted out, right, Jesus, right? Yeah, but he was to be killed. Yeah. Do you think they stopped doing that? Looking out for... In this world, God's elect are deceived. Satan, Lucifer, has no creativity. So he has to hijack it. Just like he had to be in a snake and hijack the snake. Possess the snake, right? Man gave names to all the animals, right? Before the fall. Yeah. What creativity. Yeah. God was teaching him. Yeah. And Lucifer hijacked the situation. And now he hijacks all the light that comes into the world. That's why the Catholic Church set up, right, the Scouts. And how why they infiltrated all the communities, and they were in the schools. You see, they're scouting all the time for the ones, right? Yeah. And then they know how to handle them. Some notes that I had, right? Yeah. From studies, you know. Try me hand at anything really, you know. Bit of art. Ronnie Woods. There's something else I want to show you here as well, you know. The exercises of visualization, you know. It's all colourful and it's all attractive to the eye, you see, you know. Flashing colours, tricks. It's all hypnosis. And none of it, right, okay, apart from the demons, right, is objective. Most of it is just self-hypnosis. But then some people do become possessed by demons, right? As they say, Morrigan, the Kabbalah, the tarot cards, what they all mean, yeah? And how it's infiltrated this country, right? And how these people are nothing to do with the Lord Jesus. And how so many of them are just totally willing subjects. I'll post it some other time, right? A rose cross that I had drawn out. I can't see it there now, but that's neither here nor there. I think I've said enough for this video. We cannot, right, assume, right, anything on God's behalf. We're not the judges, right? Jesus came to save the lost souls. The ones that have fallen, right, he comes to save, yeah? The ones who are in the height of deception. But at the same time, there are those, right, who know exactly what they're doing. And I'm just wondering, right, who they are, right? The ones that really know what they're doing. And who are the ones that don't know what they're doing? Who are the actors? Who are the game players?
Was hanging above my crib as a young boy. My father put it there. And as a child, I didn't quite understand what it all meant. But through my child's eyes, it represented our planet, the utopia that we've been given, the overpopulation, excess. And then the third one, we see a blackened sky that represents so much to me of what's going on in the environmental movement today. Yet in the back, you have Hieronymus Bosch.
The Lord led me in to see these things. I know about these things, and I'm here to tell people, Christians, right,
represents to me
in the Catholic Church, what's going on. I'm here to tell the people of Ireland who it is actually guiding them into Europe and into this one world government. I'm here to tell the people of Ireland who it is that sold them out. This is a cross. That's not a cross. This one has a mirror on the side of it. Who do you see? Do you see yourself in Jesus? Or do you see yourself in Osiris?
We live in a world of
What can we
mobile
do?
technology, but it is not the device that is mobile. It is you.
That's enough for this video, guys.
150 million fans